Yeah, we're here at the Etihad for the second episode of Off Script, a new vodcast thing which allows us to get more Gary Neville into people's ears, into people's faces. Can't be a bad thing, can it?
Just depends. I've had a very busy week.
I've noticed.
Is this your vodcast then?
No, so it was debuted last week by Shreves and Cara, and we need to top that.
That won't be difficult. That won't be difficult at all. So what's it about? Off script?
So, different bits, anecdotal. So what I thought we might talk about this week, with the Tunnel Club behind us, which if people don't know, people get warmed up seats, they get to, through the glass, watch the interview happening, see players warming up, stuff like that. So I wondered with you, other bits of football clubs, behind the scenes, things we don't see. Always remember Sir Alex Ferguson's last game, I actually went into his office and just sat there, terrified. But see, that would have been a bit, and you used to sit next to Solskjaer in the changing room, right?
Certainly did. I mean, obviously, different clubs have different levels of facilities. I always remember going back to growing up and sort of Bury's Sponsors Lounge. My mum and dad were there working on match days. And at the end of the game, I'd sort of go around and wait for them and wait in the Sponsors Lounge, and there'd be sort of a sandwich on and a drink, and you think that you were sort of like getting treated after. It was hospitality.
It feels like a big deal. Even now, you'll get kids come round and they'll hold the Man of the Match award and sit there with a microphone. It's massive, and you forget if you're there every week how big it can be, I think.
I think so, and I think hospitality's changed. Hospitality 20 years ago, famously by Roy Keane, was called the Prawn Sandwich Brigade, essentially for people who could afford it. It was, big match tickets, big money. So Matt Busby introduced hospitality at Manchester United in the 60s out of the back of an American tour where he'd been to a baseball or a NFL game and seen that people went to games not just to obviously watch the match, but obviously to be entertained, to have a social event like you would when you go to the cinema. And actually, when I think now to some of the new stadiums that are being built, you think of Tottenham, you think of the new stand at Liverpool.
It's absolutely integral to it,
and Wembley. It's actually now every fan feels like they're getting a bit of hospitality. We have to walk through the new Liverpool stand, unfortunately, to get to the commentary box. But the concourse is there now. They're like smart cafes, stroke.
It is smart.
They're no longer refreshment bars like you see in the old stadiums where you basically got a few bags of toffees and sort of a beer or a hot chocolate and a coffee. Yeah. You've now got really high quality facilities, and to be honest with you, the money that fans are paying, they absolutely deserve it. Everybody should feel like they've got some sort of experience when they come to a football match. And Manchester United, I think, were the first club that I remember in England having the boxes all around the ground at the top of the second tier. They've obviously now added them in the third tier, in the corners. Other clubs now, it's just standard in the Premier League that you have boxes. We have them at Salford. When we designed our very small...
Thought you might get them in.
No, why not? No, but when we designed our very small stadium at Salford, 5,000, we have 7 or 8 hospitality boxes, a sponsors lounge, a director's box. We have, believe it or not, it wasn't from the Tunnel Club here, but our refreshment bar for the fans in the other stand next to the changing rooms looks into the tunnel. And the idea that, to be fair, I got was from Tottenham's. I went around the marketing suite of Tottenham's and saw this sort of it was like a virtual reality experience of the stadium. The stadium wasn't built then. And thought about how fans could watch the players behind the scenes. The job of Sky Television, but also the job of stadiums, is to bring football fans closer to the game, to see the bits they can't see. For me, I've always wondered why football clubs don't film the training sessions live. If you think about that, obviously some of it could be...
You see, even in pre-match interviews, Gary, the team will be... So say today, Guardiola will know that Tottenham know his team, but he still won't want to speak in an interview. So we're miles away from filming a training session.
No, filming a training session where it's confidential around tactics or around team shape and set pieces, absolutely not. But that's only a small component of training sessions. You've got probably half an hour of each training session, which might be... general patterns of play or shooting and crossing exercises, possession exercises, passing drills, possession bits that you start off with, warm-ups. Why can't that be something that fans can sort of dial into and see during the morning, to get closer to the fans, to see what the players are doing, to understand, probably it would do the players some favour in the sense of, how professional they are, how hard they work. They do work hard, I'm not saying, but they get paid big money. But they are incredibly professional. What you see out here on a Saturday is highest quality. We saw that title race last year between Liverpool and Tottenham. That's the highest quality title race I've seen ever. And that doesn't come from turning up on a match day. There is an incredible amount of work goes on during the week. And I think that, obviously, City did a documentary. We've done a documentary, Salford. Leeds have done one. Sunderland have done one. The idea of being a fly on the wall now in a football club is going to come more and more. And I think the idea of basically always online, digital football clubs, it's going to come.
So you talked there about a fan's match day experience and how that's changed. What about, I want to know your match day, actually from the night before. How did you sleep?
Now?
What did you eat?
Oh, back
No,
then?
I'm not interested now. As a player, what were you like? Big game. Say like today, the players there. How would you have slept? What would you have eaten the next day? What were you like?
For a Saturday game, it's the easiest way to explain it. For me, Thursday night, the match began. From Thursday night, I used to say it's perfection. Tuesday and Wednesdays, really hard training days, but you might eat a little bit, not eat a little bit more. I'm talking about, a bit extra pasta or something. You might just, you wouldn't drink alcohol, certainly not. But you'd basically at that point be trying to relax your mind whilst training hard and being professional. Thursday night for me was switch on to game. That was the first point and I only come after a few years of obviously getting my routine. Thursday night I would start to think about my job, the opposition, the opponent I was playing against. Everything was perfection then. The time of eating, the time of sleeping, what I did in training, how I travelled to games, where I sat on the coach, where I sat in the changing room.
You're quite superstitious.
People would call it superstitious. I would call it preparation and routine. Preparation, thinking that you've actually been here before. This is what I do before a game on a Saturday. This is how I get prepared. Do it again. It works. We win as a club, so do it again. I play well as a player, I prepare well, I'm as fit as I can be. People call it superstitious. Yeah, the little things like always wearing white underpants, which I did on a Saturday before a game. Sorry about that, I mean. But I did. I always wore white underpants. Why?
Still white at the end of the game?
Come on. This is... Kelly Cates, in you come. This is really... Always wore white underpants. So basically, you can imagine that for me, white underpants is a detail. You might call it a superstition. Now, somebody who's really flippant might say, that doesn't help you win a game of football. But if psychologically you've prepared the same way, you've worn the same things, you've done the same things, then you're good to go.
Okay, right. We need to finish because Soccer Saturday doing
There's
some
more
things.
important people than us.
Yes.
Yeah. And off the scripts, well, we're out of time.
Let's hope it was better than last week's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.